Welcome to weeks 15 through 18 of Valor Discipleship. This is an exciting time in your discipleship journey. You are going to spend 21 days in a time of prayer and fasting. This is a time that's going to really cause you to hone in on knowing God even better, refining your relationship between you and Him, and really continuing to find out how you fit into the big picture, how you fit into God's plan. This is a concentrated time that you're going to get to do that. Now, you're going to spend 4 weeks on these different areas of prayer and fasting. The first week, week 15, you're going to look at a time of preparation. And this is really, really important. So I want to encourage you to remember this is about you and God. This is about developing your relationship with God. This is about really learning a new spiritual discipline or refining a spiritual discipline that maybe you've already been doing in the area of prayer and fasting. Week 15, you want to take some time to really prepare yourself for this time, both physically and spiritually. First of all, physically, remember that if you choose to fast, I would encourage you to try a Daniel fast, which is a fast where you choose to eat only whole foods. I often think of a Daniel fast as you were standing in the Garden of Eden and you chose not to eat meats, but you could eat whole foods. You could eat fruits and vegetables and nuts and beans and things that your body can digest very easily. You're cutting out foods that aren't necessarily good for you anyway. You're cutting out processed foods, high sugar foods. You're cutting out fast foods. So you're cutting out those convenience foods that we've put into our diet, we've put into our lives out of convenience. You're going to have to rethink your eating. So really don't make the eating part legalistic, but you do want to put aside your flesh so that you can encourage your spiritual walk with God. Now, the spiritual piece of this is prayer, spending extra time with God, communicating with God more often, being reminded because you're hungry or because you set aside a food or a meal or a time of preparation, and really setting aside that time to spend more time with God, to begin to let Him remind you through a physical hunger to hunger after Him. So the first week, you're in your book, you're going to find a couple of things that are good preps for the time of prayer and fasting, all right? The first one is a little bit of what to expect. For 21 days, you're going to spend time, extra time in the Word, extra time praying, extra time journaling, and you're going to decide to take away foods in your life. You're going to decide to be hungry sometimes. And so that's what you're going to be doing for the next 21 days. Now you're going to find in your book that it talks about a few tips that will help you get prepared for the time of prayer and fasting. I would really encourage you to take these tips, read through them, and follow them. The first one is decide that every day you're going to spend a specific time with God. Now that can correlate with maybe a time when you typically would have eaten a meal, or you would have prepared for a meal, or you would have shopped for a meal. But decide at the beginning that you're going to take a set aside time every day and you're going to pray, you're going to read the Word, you're going to journal, you're just going to spend some extra time with God in these 21 days. The second thing is use your journal. I would encourage you to soap and to journal scripture at times when maybe you would have typically eaten, or set aside some other thing that you typically do during the day and journal and allow God to really show Himself in a powerful way during these 21 days. The other thing is physically you'll need to have food on hand. This may not be foods that you've typically eaten. You're going to set aside those pleasure foods and you're going to eat whole foods. So you want to have those on hand. You maybe want to shop early and get those ready so that you don't have to be at the grocery store, but you can have those foods ready. If you're the only one in your family fasting, you might have to think how you're going to navigate through feeding your family one way and eating another way. Remember, it's okay to be hungry. It's okay to be hungry. So you don't have to concentrate all the time on being full and what to eat, but you do want to eat the foods that, just as they called the Daniel fast, because he set aside pleasurable foods. And so you're going to be doing the same. So have those foods on hand. The other one is commit your heart to emphasizing your desire for the closeness of God. What I love about this time is you have set a specific time. This is 21 days. You've decided during this season, you're really going to emphasize your relationship with God. So make this 21 days specific to that. You're going to be thinking about being on a fast and enhancing your relationship with God a lot in the next 21 days. And that's exactly what you want. God, you're going to be concentrating on God like never before. So he's going to be speaking to you more clearly. Things that maybe you hadn't thought of, the spiritual things that you just see throughout your day. God's going to show his hand in those things more obviously. Also, evaluate today if there are other distractions in your life. Maybe there are other things that you need to give up. Again, this is between you and God. You decide what's best for you, but maybe there are distractions. Maybe social media is a distraction for you. Maybe you sit down and watch television every night. It may not even be a good or bad thing. It's just that you want to take 21 days and get rid of the distractions in your life. So I would encourage you to pray. Ask God what those distractions are in your life that you could eliminate for 21 days. Also, make prayer a priority. Don't make this all about the fasting part, but also about the prayer part. Pray like you've never prayed before. Spend more time than you've ever spent before praying. Use this 20 days to truly spend committed quality time with God. And then I want to encourage you to make this very personal. Ask God to show you what he would have for you personally. Ask him to reveal himself to you. Ask him to expose some things that you need to change. But make this very personal between you and God, and make the intent of your heart to be about closing yourself in with God and allowing him to speak to you in a very powerful way. I want to give you a few cautions as well. Again, they're in your book and they're in your curriculum, so look over those. But if you have a physical condition, you want to be sure and check with your doctor about those things. Also, if you find yourself having physical conditions other than maybe being a little more tired, having less energy, maybe your digestive system changing just a little bit, you're hungry, if they're more severe things, I want to encourage you to stop your fast and check with your doctor. So if physical conditions come that your body is telling you that things aren't okay, be sure to stop the fast and check with your physician. Also, choose the type of fast that you want to do. Again, remember the end goal is for you to grow closer to God, to give up something in the physical so that you can grow spiritually. So decide what you want to fast and what you want to commit to. You may decide as a group what you're going to do. That's great. But if you decide individually, you'll need to look at that. Again, this is between you and God. Do your best. Don't beat yourself up. This isn't to be about legalism. This isn't about you to be a food police for other people in your group. This is about you and God. And sometimes we need reset buttons. I love it. It tells us in Lamentations that his mercies are new every morning, which means his love for us, his understanding for us, his forgiveness is new every single morning. You can push a reset button. Just if you mess up a day or you mess up a little ways into the fast, don't just quit, but start over and allow God to work in your life, all right? Also, if you find yourself thinking and talking about food more than you're thinking and talking about the Lord, then reevaluate that your concentration is on the right thing. This is about God. This is not about food. Food is to enhance your relationship with God, but don't be overcome with the food part of the fasting. Yes, you're fasting. Yes, your food habits are going to change. Yes, you're going to talk about that, but don't make that the priority of this 21 days. The other thing I want to encourage you is in your book, you have 7 questions. I want to encourage you to answer those questions before you start the fast. That will help you set goals. That will help you get your focus on the next 21 days. So be sure and fill those out. That's something that you'll have the ability to share with your group. You're keeping each other accountable. You're walking this journey together. And again, we love discipleship because it is relational. Even though this is about you and God, this is also a time when you can walk this journey of prayer and fasting with others. Whether you've never done it before or you've done it several times, you can still walk this journey together. All right, then in week 16, you're going to have an opportunity to pray together. So I would really encourage you to spend a lot of time, week 16, praying corporately. You could use your EXO prayer model. You could begin to share needs or struggles in the prayer and fasting, expose things that God's shown you, and pray together during that time. Week 17, you're going to have time in your small groups. So use this time to encourage one another, pray over one another, maybe talk about some things that are working or that have been hard, but use this time in community to walk this prayer and fasting journey together. And then week 18, when you all come together, this is a time for testimony. We have expectations for our 21 days, but none of us really know what God's going to do or what God's going to show us in the 21 days. And we want to rejoice at what God has done in our lives that last week 18 of your prayer and fasting unit. I am praying for you. Each season has been different for me as I've entered into a time of prayer and fasting, but each season has been sweet. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about those that are walking this journey with me, and most of all, I've learned a lot about God. And so I want to encourage you to come into this season with a great expectation that God has something amazing set aside just for you that He wants to show you during these 21 days of prayer and fasting. Have a great 21 days, and I will be praying for you.